Welcome to the Cowboy Entrepreneur Show, created and hosted by Scott Knudsen, to explore the crossroads of horses and business. Now here's your host, Scott Knudsen.
Hi, and welcome to the Cowboy Entrepreneur Show. I'm your host, Scott Knudsen. Thank you so much for joining us today. Whether you're listening to us on NBC Radio out in California on KCAA or watching our podcast on one of our many platforms, we appreciate it. And please don't forget to go to our YouTube channel, Cowboy Entrepreneur, and subscribe and ring the bell so you can hear and see all the new shows that we have coming out. We have some great ones, just like today. I'm so excited to have Sophia Jagella here. And Sophia is a marketing specialist for Western English Sales Association, WESA. And WESA is so important to our industry, to the horse industry, whether it's Western or English. And just so proud she's here. And Sophia, welcome to the show. And how did I do on your last name?
Thank you so much. You did fabulous. And thank you also for the kind intro.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. And so let's talk a little bit about your background. Did you, when you were born, like growing up, did you want to be a marketing specialist, or did life kind of take you that way?
Life kind of took me down that path, but I've always been really interested in at least the event management part of the business world. And then just from there on, just wanted to be more creative than just doing, business. I think there's always a creative part in every part of every business. And eventually that led me to consumer behavior and psychology. And then that was really just marketing in the end for me.
Oh my goodness, that's so great. It's funny how life just kind of takes you a certain path, and if you just go, it's an amazing journey.
Exactly, just gotta let it happen, and eventually it's a great passion of mine now. So I'm really glad that it all sort of lit up that way.
I love it. So how did you end up at WESA? Because I know it's a worldwide company, and it's been over 100 years, and it's growing, it's still expanding and getting better. So how did you find them, or did they find you?
So I am originally from Germany. So I did go to a U.S. college. And then after that, I did an internship at the German American Chamber of Commerce and sort of just looked for something after that. So I did find them through just trying to find out where my next passion was going to take me after working at the German American Chamber of Commerce, and really just trying to combine as many of my interests that I, could possibly put together. So that was always horses, and it's been marketing and event management, and WESA, the WESA trade show, hosting a trade show for the equine industry, of course, was just a perfect fit in the end.
Perfect fit. Oh my goodness. And I've been so blessed to be a couple of times now, and man, I love it. It's just such a great event, and it's so big, but it is important for our industry, and both on the Western and the English side.
Well, thanks for mentioning
a little bit about it.
Yes, so it was originally founded in 1921. So you are correct. We've been around for over 100 years. And we actually had the pleasure of celebrating our 100th anniversary just recently. So that was established in 1921, but then the first actual trade show took place in 1922, still in Denver, Colorado. So yeah, long history. And the goal back then was just to create a forum for manufacturers and sales reps of the industry to just meet. And from there on, it's really just been growing over the 100 years. We're adding some events. We're changing some things up. As some people may know, we moved to Dallas, Texas. So it's always just been, really just the place where the industry meets. That's our tagline, and it really shows when you do go to the show and you see how many people are there and who is there. It's honest. I'm glad that you get to visit yourself and experience it from the other side. So
yeah, thank you. Yeah, we've been twice. We went to the August show, and then we just recently went to the January show, and now we're going to become regulars because we made so many friends there, and it's just as far as an event and being an event coordinator, it is. It really is. There's so much food and drinks and music and a fashion show. We'll talk about that later in the show, but it really is a big event. But at the end of the day, it's all about the horse industry and what's new coming out in the market. And that's why I love it, being an entrepreneur.
Oh, that is it's great to hear. Yeah, it is a B2B trade show. So that is something that one of the most frequent questions is from the end consumers asking if they can attend. And they unfortunately can't. It really just is just as back in 1921, as they set out. They just really wanted this to be a forum for manufacturer sales reps, and then the attendees that we have are the retailers and the buyers from those stores. And they do attend to write orders on site and meet with all the brands, and that's still the tradition of being upheld from 1921.
See, I love that, and that's something that the horse industry faces a lot, is keeping the traditions that work, but also innovating and getting better and getting stronger and still growing the brand. And you're doing both, and that's a tricky kind of deal, but I love how it is B2B or business to business. And so how many countries are involved? Do you know that number offhand? I don't want to put you on the spot, but I know it's so big, and I could hear so many different dialects.
Yeah, so for the exhibitors themselves, we had just a little under 50 international exhibitors, but that's kind of hard to gauge just because some people just have sales reps from the US, but then the brands are actually international. But we also had about 19 countries represented in terms of the stores that attended. So even just the stores travel quite a bit just to see these brands and meet people and connect. So it's a little less than 50 companies that have exhibited, and then around 20 countries that are representing the retail stores.
I love that so much. It's a worldwide event, but it's so much fun. Everybody's just smiling and talking and taking care of business,
We had over 550 product lines at the last show, and it's been growing. Obviously, the last years have been a little bit tricky given that it was a pandemic, and really before that, it was our big move from Denver to Dallas. So the last 5 years have been really just fun projects to work on in terms of marketing and from my side and how to navigate all of that. But we're finally back to how a WESA trade show actually feels, which is what we finally had in January again, where we didn't have, the pandemic or other issues in the way.
Well, I love that. And, I remember in August, there was the big rain and the big flood in Dallas, and flooded some of the bottom of the center, the marketplace.
It really was interesting.
But y'all just had it drying out, and y'all just kept going, and it was amazing.
And of course, coming from Denver, usually we're just used to the snowstorms, and all of the people that are attending the show and maybe weren't quite familiar with snow back then just ran out to see the snow and just take pictures in Denver of the snow and that kind of a weather. So now it was interesting to see, that obviously Dallas isn't. Well, also had some rain, not really snow, but the rain last time was just quite something. But the DMC, the Dallas Market Center, where we do hold the show, they did a great job. They all pulled in at 3 a.m. in the morning and made sure that water was taken care of as soon as possible. So that was just great to see, but it was quite something, seeing all the cars on the side just stacked up and
it was amazing. And I love the companies that are there, either buying or that have the showrooms on one floor, and then the startups or the first to the fifth, year companies, and they're trying to get to that level. And there's so many great businesses there, the established, the well-known names, but there's so many new companies.
Yes.
Can you tell us like a story of go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so we are represented on typically the 14th floor. That is where all of the permanent showrooms are at. So over there you have brands like Wrangler, Hui, Justin, all of the, big brands, but then many are trying to move up to that floor. And then we also have the 11th floor, which is our temporary floor. So that is where also, again, lots of big companies, JTI and all kinds of people, but also smaller mom and pops, and really just people that are just recently opening up or just started out in the business. So that's really exciting too. But because we had so many new people trying to make it into the show, we actually now expanded to the 10th floor. So then now we are adding a little section on the 10th floor to our other sections on 14 and 11, just because we had so many people on the wait list and so many new companies just wanted to get in as soon as possible, as soon as they had product that they could actually exhibit. So that was really exciting to see, especially after the pandemic when everybody thought business was going to slow it down. But really what we saw is just more brands, emerging, and also more retail stores opening up. So that was really, really cool.
So much to see, and it's around the world, in one spot. So it's an opportunity for buyers, but also for sellers, and for new companies. And it is so huge. I had no idea when they said it was big. I didn't know, but it is in Texas, so it kind of makes sense,
Exactly.
That's what we tell ourselves anyway.
Exactly. I mean, it's a good slogan. It works for you.
I love it. So a company that's maybe entrepreneurs that's watching the show today, which there's so many different entrepreneurs out there. How do they become involved in WESA? How do they maybe take their product and get a booth, or how do they maybe become a buyer and they have a shop, they want to start buying some of the great products? How do they get with y'all?
Yes. So as an exhibitor, you do have to be a member of the association first. So it is a member-owned association. The first step is really just either going to our website, which is wesatradeshow.com, or emailing our trade show manager. His name is Jeff, and he will be just delighted to help anyone out and try to get them a spot. So the first step is to join the association. We have different kinds of memberships available, really just trying to tailor it as much as possible to their needs. And then from there on, you get the access to the contracts, and then you can submit your contract for January and August. And then to get a booth, we do run it by seniority points. So the more points you have, the better of a chance you also have at getting a booth, a temporary booth on the 11th or even the 10th floor. But now that we're trying to grow into another section of the Dallas Market Center, we're hoping that won't be an issue in the future, because sometimes people can come in because they don't have enough points. But that is where we're trying to help everybody and sort of just getting them into the industry and getting them that option to join. Then for buyers, they just have to make sure that they fill out an application online and just show proof of some requirements. It's just basic things, just so we see that they actually are a store and are buying in quantities. And that's how we can get you to the shows. And also it's free for the retail stores. So we're really, not charging anything or not adding any other fees to that. It's really we just want to make sure that they're legit stores buying for, not themselves, but their stores in quantities. And that's really all. And then eventually we can welcome you to the WESA Trade Show.
Yeah, I think it's so great, especially if you want to be in business and be an entrepreneur and on either side of it, and you'll have the catalog, which is great. And it's so helpful. And you have the podcast and the website, which is, wesatradeshow.com is so cool, but your social media is fun too, to see all the new styles coming out and how interactive that is. It's kind of fun for people to watch too.
Yeah, it's really fun. Obviously marketing is all about storytelling, but in this kind of an industry and this kind of, I think, a unique space of a community, it's really easy because there are so many great stories to tell. There's so many great products to showcase. And I think all of us that are in this industry, and even people that, might be more on the apparel side and maybe are not really connected to Western all that well, or even English, or, in general, the equine industry, everybody has a story to tell and everybody wants to be part of that community. So that's really what's making all of that so much fun, to do the podcast, to do social media, and everything in between.
Well, it's so cool to see the businesses grow too. Just in the short time from August to September, those 2 times I was there were some companies that were messaging me and that I saw in January, and they were like, "Hey, we're moving up, or we're getting a bigger spot, or we have this many more square feet." And it's exciting to watch them progress through the WESA program, which means they're successful. And
really
as a business guy, I just love hearing.
Yeah, and you see it when you go to their booth too. At first, they might be starting out with a 10 by 10, which is great. That's giving you great exposure. It's great for brand awareness. It's a great start. And then from there on, like you said, we have people that have been with WESA for years and years and years, over 50 years sometimes. And it's just fun to see how their spaces, change over the years, what they bring in, how many more people they bring in to help, just because they just, need that support. And yeah, it's really just fun to see everybody grow.
It really is. It really is. Well, we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to come back and talk a little bit more about entrepreneurship and a little bit more about some of the WESA programs and helping the bottom line of these businesses. So we'll be right back on the Cowboy Entrepreneur Show with Sophia, talking everything WESA. And thank you for watching and sharing our show, and we'll be right back.
Thank you for listening to the Cowboy Entrepreneur Show. Scott will be right back with more. For more information on Scott Knudsen, the Cowboy Entrepreneur, visit us online at cowboyentrepreneur.com.
Hi, I'm Scott Knudsen, host of the Cowboy Entrepreneur Show, heard on KCAA Fridays, 3 p.m. Pacific. I'd like to talk to you about something I'm very passionate about. Those that know me know I love my coffee. In the morning, afternoon, and even late in the evening, I enjoy a good cup of coffee almost any time of the day. Now, my team at the Cowboy Entrepreneur Show has been working for several months on creating and introducing our own brand of coffee. We wanted to make sure that we got it just right. We don't want to put our name on anything unless we're 100% certain that it's the best product available, and we've finally done it. We have created a wonderful line of coffees, 13 fantastic flavors offered in whole bean, ground, and K-Cups, any way you like to brew your coffee. Now, each of our coffees carries our brand, the very same brand that we put on our horses, our trailers, and our chaps. So you know that this is a quality product. And we only use 100% Arabica beans, the very best beans available. Just listen to some of these wonderful blends and flavors. Jamaican Me Crazy, Honduran San Marcos, Chocolate Cherry Amaretto, Breakfast Blend, and my very favorite, Haley's Blend. A coffee so good, we named it after my daughter. You can order these coffees today by going online to javacowboy.com. That's javacowboy.com. And if you order today, you can get an extra 10% off your final purchase just by entering the promo code COWBOY on checkout. Remember, that's promo code COWBOY for an extra 10% off. Just go to javacowboy.com to order your coffee today. Hi, and welcome back to the Cowboy Entrepreneur Show. I'm your host, Scott Knudsen, here with Sophia Jagella and with WESA, Western English Sales Association. So, Sophia, we're talking about how it's expanding and it's a 100-year company and all the great things about the company's growing and getting better and bigger. Let's talk about the items, everything you can see at this, if you want to be a buyer or seller, just some of the different items. There's so many different ones to talk about.
Yes, so really the show, to sum it up, is everything for the Western and English industry, everything for the horse and rider. But we do have lots of different categories, and we're always trying to not squeeze anybody into those categories, but otherwise just expand our selection of categories. So, of course, something that you see all the time in pictures and also in our videos quite often is the apparel and the footwear categories. Of course, we have tech and equipment as well. And one category that's growing quite a bit now is the home decor category. So we're actually working with a new influencer as well. That's going to be something that we're going to be announcing in the future soon, just to drive that category a little bit more. But yeah, we have accessories, we have gifts, we have jewelry, of course, boots, everything in between, supplies, sometimes also some nutrition-based company or products that are just, yeah, all kinds of fun categories. Yes.
Oh my gosh, there's so much. I don't know how many different thousands. There's got to be thousands of different products there, but everything from saddles. There's so many cool new saddles, and the tack that just messes me up. I just love that part, but the clothing and all the new styles that are coming out around the world is there. Which is really fun. And the jewelry, there was so many beautiful pieces of jewelry on every floor.
And handmade, and just with just amazing stones, and companies that truly just have a history. Some people, we interviewed one girl just recently. She moved from Canada to Texas just to be closer to the industry, and kind of moved her entire ranch over just to really make it happen for herself. And yeah, so it's really even the smaller companies, such as the jewelry companies, they all just, yeah, have a great story to tell as well. So yeah, we have lots of product categories and lots of exhibitors out there.
So Sophia, isn't it fun to see companies when they start expanding and growing, getting comfortable in the environment? Do you have like a fun company or a fun story, without mentioning their name, that went from maybe a 10 by 10 that grew to a bigger floor or a bigger showroom?
Yes, we have a member that just recently celebrated a 50th anniversary, and they actually started out in Denver with us back then in the Denver Times. And they have now celebrated their 50th anniversary with just a giant space on our 11th floor. And one of the parts of their show space actually was a memory wall. So it was so fun to see all of the pictures of how they started out. They won a lot of awards in between those years for having the best decorated show space, those best of show ribbons. They actually brought with them now to Dallas, Texas, to showcase really what they've done over the past year. So it was super fun to see and walk around their pretty big space. And yeah, just congratulate them on those 50 years of just fun memories. And we're blessed enough that many of those memories were actually made at the Westside Trade Show. So that was really exciting to see.
Love that. I love that. It's so fun in business to see that success and see them still so humble and just trying to get better.
And then we also
that's awesome.
Have companies that just started out. So some were just now for the very first time on the 10th floor and didn't really know what to expect, didn't really know what to bring, how much decor they would need for their show space. And from day one, they were just excited to be there, really just had a great attitude, and that really showed even just from us sprinting by the hallways, just checking if everything was okay. They were always just doing their business, talking to a lot of people and just smiling and just, excited to grow in the future.
It's so fun. I remember seeing a lot of those newer companies, and maybe it was new to Wesa to that level, but still kind of fresh, and the excitement, energy, but also they were nervous, they didn't know what to expect or what to do. And then I'd go check on them a couple hours later and they're like, this is so much fun. And it was neat because they were messaging and texting me. I love it. They're like, after the first hour, you could just see them just relax. Mm-hmm. And they just start talking about their product and their passion.
Yeah, I mean, when you walk down those aisles, sometimes when you walk down, you don't really think about all the work that went into them actually being there. So not only do they have to produce the product and actually ship the product and just pray that the product actually makes it there on time, but they also decorate the show space and they hire, assistants and have to guide them in their right sales techniques and all kinds of things that go into actually being there. So yeah, once that 8:30 time hits and they're finally set, then you can just see how the excitement is just growing, but the anticipation is and the anxiety is a little bit calming down in the building.
Yeah, but it's so cool that y'all are so just pros that I could see y'all walking around and and taking care of them, and there's a break room, and just making sure they have a good experience. Well, that's probably why you've been around over 100 years.
Well,
But
thank you. Yes,
for the newer companies,
yeah, it's interesting because we're a really small team. We're just 4 people in the office, and then of course we do have the board of directors, which we couldn't do it without them, and that's just members of the association, so exhibitors, sales reps, or manufacturers that are themselves just selling at the show, but then they also take that time and effort in volunteering to be on the board and helping with all the decisions. And really, they're the ones that vote and do make the decision, so that it is a member-run association. So yeah, we're just 4 small people. we're just a small team and just 4 people in the office. But that's when people come up and they say, well, I didn't know that the executive director, Amy, was going to check me in downstairs. I thought she was somewhere just sitting in the office. But no, we're all just walking around and meeting with people, and it's a lot of fun.
I love that. I'm so glad you brought that up because like Amy checking people in, and you're doing what you do, and just 4 of y'all, but really it's where like your tagline is where we do business, and we take care of product. And I'm not asking for a number, but there's so much business going on, and the business on both sides is helping each other, and it just goes through WESA with 4 people. It's pretty cool. It's a cool story.
Yes, of course, that is why we rely on our partners as well, and just are so blessed to have so many friends in the industry that really help the association grow, and that all have an interest in the association and the continued growth. So that's why we're blessed to have everybody around us.
Love how it's so good. It's so professionally ran, but it's just fun. Even though there's business happening, you're not sitting around a big boardroom table, and it's not boring. It's fun. And you were just talking about like some booths that were winning awards. Would you mind talking a little bit? Like they get a booth award and all the different kind of booths that are there, because it's not just freestyle booth and you walk down. It's not boring at all. There's a lot going on.
Yes, it's a lot going on, and we do want to sort of acknowledge all of the work that goes into those spaces. So given that we are now on 3 different floors for the January show, we divided up those floors in 8 sections in total, and each section gets 1 Best of Show award winner. So throughout the show, we have a jury that is objective. So it's not us and our little team. It's not the board either, but it's an objective group that goes around and judges all of the spaces, including the permanent showrooms on the 14th, and then all of the temps on 11 and 10. So they do go around and just sort of see who has put in a lot of effort and should get acknowledged. Of course, most people do put in a lot of effort and should get acknowledged, but we don't have that many ribbons. So it's 8 winners in that show, and it's a lot of fun to then surprise them and hand over that show ribbon and really just celebrate with the whole team, because it's a team effort, and everybody is just really excited to get that little bit of acknowledgement.
It's so neat because they take such a pride in it, for sure. When they get that ribbon, they hang it up immediately, and take pictures. It goes on social media. But I mean, there's booths where people are roping. There's booths where there's all kinds of food and drinks. It's just a fun environment. And all the different booths and showrooms, they kind of work together too. I noticed that across the hall, they're working together. Hey, watch my booth while I'm doing this. And it's a neat environment.
Yeah, especially on 14 for the sales reps. They sometimes rep multiple brands at once, so they sort of go back and forth. And yeah, then in the hallway, there's somebody roping, and other people are celebrating another anniversary or another celebration or something else that's going on. So it's never a dull moment. But our values are trade education and fellowship. So really, of course, number 1, we're focused on providing a space for that trade to actually happen. But then in between, people do walk around, like you just mentioned, and see other people, because they also learn from them, and then they see other people across the hall and what they do, and then they learn from them. And it's not really competition in that sense. It's really just trying to learn from one another, and that's where the last part of the community comes in, because that's just where everybody meets. It's just an exciting place.
It really is. Even some of the showrooms, they had their own singers in there, and you're shopping and they're singing and there's food, and it's just a fun deal for those guys too. And like you said, I love seeing some of the businesses that were on the same rows that were helping each other and like you say, learning from each other, and
Hmm.
it's really good, And I encourage people to have a business or thinking about it to go and become a part of it because of the environment. There was so many people there in January. I'm so glad y'all had shuttle, going back and forth because the parking. Yeah, it's just
Exactly.
amazing. You can't describe it. You have to experience it.
Yeah, everything's bigger in Texas, but the parking lots still have to be made first. So that's why we're really glad that we had shuttles and that people
Yeah.
didn't have to park and just get back and forth a little bit easier.
So, Sophia, how does a team of four put together such an incredible show in a large, almost a 250,000 square foot of show that that helps both the English and the Western industries? How do y'all do that? How do you put that together?
Yeah, so we divide sort of each member has one department. So Amy Dill, the executive director, she sort of oversees everything, works with the board, and really just runs the whole show. And then we have Tracy. Tracy Anderson. She's going to replace Amy. So she's currently the assistant executive director. She's now working with all the buyers and getting them all squared away. And then we have Jeff Hergenrader. He's the trade show manager, and he works with all of the exhibitors and getting the show space set. And then, of course, myself, I do all the marketing. So we all have different calendars, but throughout the year, the way that we usually start is just with the board meeting, and then the contracts go live. And then we work with the buyers to get them and their badges set. So then we work with all the events. So we kind of just go hand in hand, but everybody has their own timeline. And then at certain times, one person needs help. So we try to just move over and help one little department. So yeah, that we sort of try to move around and be as flexible as possible. But of course, it does help a lot that Amy has been with Weston now for over 20 years. So she knows the general rundown of when things have to be done and helps with the deadlines. Of course, our deadlines are so early, even just internally for ourselves. We're already pretty much done with the August planning now and are really moving into January 2024 when we just had the January 2023 show last month. So that's how early we're trying to get set on the next show and figuring out all those details.
Well, I can understand why you'd need to stay that far ahead with that many people coming to your party for sure.
Yes, and you never know. Something may come up, a new opportunity might come up. Somebody might want to, have a new idea that they really want to implement, or maybe an exhibitor wants to do something special and they really want to see if they can partner with us. So, or maybe we have 40 people on the wait list. That wasn't a thing that we thought about the year prior to that. So sometimes people, or things just come up and we just try to make that work somehow throughout the calendar year. But that is why we all have to be flexible.
Well, that's the entrepreneurial spirit, is just figuring it out. And if there's 40 people that want to be a part of it, you just figure out a way to get more space and do it.
Exactly. Yeah. It's also just, being blessed to have that opportunity and not throwing it away just because it's more work. We're happy to have that more work and are excited for new opportunities and new things that we can do.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be back with Sophia, and we're going to talk about the fashion runway and some of the music, the bands, the food, and just all this excitement that goes inside the show. So we'll be right back on the Cowboy Entrepreneur Show.
Thank you for listening to the Cowboy Entrepreneur Show. Scott will be right back with more. For more information on Scott Knudsen, the Cowboy Entrepreneur, visit us online at cowboyentrepreneur.com.
Hi, I'm Scott Knudsen, host of the Cowboy Entrepreneur Show, heard on KCAA Fridays, 3 p.m. Pacific. I'd like to talk to you about something I'm very passionate about. Those that know me know I love my coffee. In the morning, afternoon, and even late in the evening, I enjoy a good cup of coffee almost any time of the day. Now, my team at the Cowboy Entrepreneur Show has been working for several months on creating and introducing our own brand of coffee. We wanted to make sure that we got it just right. We don't want to put our name on anything unless we're 100% certain that it's the best product available, and we've finally done it. We have created a wonderful line of coffees, 13 fantastic flavors offered in whole bean, ground, and K-Cups, any way you like to brew your coffee. Now, each of our coffees carries our brand, the very same brand that we put on our horses, our trailers, and our chaps. So you know that this is a quality product. And we only use 100% Arabica beans, the very best beans available. Just listen to some of these wonderful blends and flavors. Jamaican Me Crazy, Honduran San Marcos, Chocolate Cherry Amaretto, Breakfast Blend, and my very favorite, Haley's Blend. A coffee so good, we named it after my daughter. You can order these coffees today by going online to javacowboy.com. That's javacowboy.com. And if you order today, you can get an extra 10% off your final purchase just by entering the promo code COWBOY on checkout. Remember, that's promo code COWBOY for an extra 10% off. Just go to javacowboy.com to order your coffee today. Hi, and welcome back to the Cowboy Entrepreneur Show. I'm your host, Scott Knudsen, here with Sophia Jagella with WESA, Western English Sales Association. And please look them up, wesatradeshow.com. Sophia, so let's talk about some of the fun things that go on at the trade show. I know there's a cool fashion show. Would you mind talking a little bit about that?
Yes, so we actually run a daily fashion show from Wednesday through Saturday. So that is on the 14th floor. It's just right outside of the Kim Dawson Runway Cafe. So it's really right outside of the Montana and the Kimes Ranch showroom. So those are usually about half an hour, and we invite our members, the exhibitors, to participate by letting us know that they want to be in the show. And then we work with them and get all of their items showcased. And yeah, it's fun because people usually sit down and they just, that's during lunchtime. They have that little break throughout the day, have a little break, especially for their feet, because that's a lot of running around. And yeah, it's fun. It's fun to see. Last time we had some fun moments. One exhibitor was so excited about her show about her items being showcased that she actually joined the model on that stage and did the whole fashion walk with her, because she was, of course, wearing her own clothes as well. And then we also had some kids joining and just running with the model. So that was a little bit of a fun little moment. But yeah, besides that, it's lots of companies that showcase everything. Even TAG was showcased before, apparel, accessories, boots, hats, everything in between. So that is usually daily. That's hosted and promoted by WESA. And then the Dallas Market Center also does a great job with the opening night and the fashion show down in the atrium. That is just right before our opening night party, and that is where everybody gathers down after that first exhausting day and tries to find a spot and see all of the new and exciting products that are being shown out there. So that's also many of the exhibitors that we have, but that is run a little bit differently. So the DMC actually goes around and picks items that they want to have showcased in that fashion show. So that's why we have two different ones, and I think both are great to be seen.
Absolutely. Well, that's why it's the world's largest show, is what y'all put on. 4 people. It's just so hard to believe, It's just such a testament to what y'all do.
Yeah.
And it's really cool, and I think it's great for the buyers to see the fashion show that you do daily and to see what it looks like. And then they can just go right next to the booth and purchase it. Their retail outlets. It's really a neat setup. And
you can see what
you can just see the pride.
And then you could walk over to the space and learn more about the actual product and when everything's going to be available. So it kind of works out.
It's some good marketing right there, isn't it?
Exactly.
I love it. And like you said, the people take so much pride in their clothes being, featured or on your runway. Which they should, absolutely. But I remember talking to so many people, and they came on our show and podcast, and or even the social media we were doing. And they were like, our clothes were selected, or we get to be on the runway. And it's really neat to see that you do that for them.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It's fun to have both worlds, down with the DMC and then with us as well. But yeah, with the DMC, they really just put on a show in the atrium. There is a band playing just before the show starts. And it's fun because you see at the end when that first day concludes, all the retailers come down to try to get a spot. But then eventually you look up into the atrium, which is 15 floors. So it's quite something. And people really just line up on each of the other floors just to get a good look and still a spot to see all of the items just from a different floor. So it's really a party on that first day.
It really is, and I'm just so proud to have a small part in it, and I appreciate y'all letting us but when I put, a couple of videos of the fashion show up or just pictures, I don't even think I did videos. And then my social media, where is that? That looks like so much fun, and everybody's excited, but it's the excitement in the room too. So I encourage businesses to reach out to y'all, either side of the aisle, just to be a part, because it really does help their business.
Thank you. Yeah. And then especially for that fashion show as well, I think it sort of shows really both of the worlds that Western represents, because there's English and Western represented in that fashion show. So it's fun to see it all coming together.
I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
we don't leave anybody out. We want everybody to be included.
Absolutely. That's kind of the way, that's our motto too, man. If they love horses and the lifestyle, then heck, let's just, everybody be friends and keep going. We have Western and English tack in our barn. I write a lot more Western than English, but it's good. It involves a horse, so I'm happy. Let's talk about your podcast.
Oh, sorry. Yes.
What'd you do? No, it's okay. At 5:58, Steve, let's fix that. So what did you do?
I was actually an English writer before. So I'm one of the few ones on the other side. So that is why I do see both of the worlds coming in together. Because of course, at our show, you'll see mostly Western exhibitors, but we do have English as well. We do try to grow and help that section out as well. So, but yeah, for the fashion show, that's really when you see both of the worlds coming together.
I love it, man. I think it's so cool. And that's the way I think it should be, I don't think you pick a side, if you like the horse, that's your side, and for sure. Well, let's talk about your podcast. You got a great podcast. You have, I think, over 100 shows now, and I think it comes out twice a month, but let's talk about Wisdom by Wessa.
Yes, Wisdom by Wessa, exactly. Yeah, we just celebrated our 100th anniversary, or not anniversary, 100th episode, but now we're 205. So it's just fun. We started out with the Horse Radio Network, just trying to showcase people and brands and really stories, because obviously with a 4-day show, that is a lot of time, but also you have a lot to see, and sometimes you don't get to hear maybe the background story of how a company started out, especially some of the younger ones. You don't really get to hear their story. So that is how we're trying to utilize the podcast to learn more about the background, learn more about their marketing strategies, about their business strategies, to learn what's going to be coming up. But then we also have retailers on the show, and they sort of share the other side and how it is for them to attend the show and how they navigate going through meeting everybody for 4 days and how to set up a good schedule to do so. So yeah, it's been a lot of fun to do that.
Well, I love that you show the new people how to set up, but sales is a relationship. It's a relationship business. I love you telling the stories, and that's a fun part for me, is just hearing the people's stories and seeing the passion in their eyes. And I love that you do that. So where can people find your podcast?
It is on all of the podcast players, but it's also on wisdombywessa.com or wessatradeshow.com. But yeah, you can also find us on Spotify and everywhere else.
I love it. And Glenn introduced me to you from Horses in the Morning and from his podcast. And And it's so fun to walk around with, the Wessa tag and also with Glenn's tag, Horses in the Morning. Network now, but he's such a great guy, and I'm so glad and blessed that he introduced me to y'all, and we just have so much fun. And he has such a passion too. He loves seeing all the new items that are coming out. That's his thing, is what's new.
Yes, we always invite him to come to the show to do a live podcast for, of course, Horses in the Morning, but then it's also put out on our platforms as well for Wisdom by Wessa. And it's always fun to see which companies he just sort of walked by and that got his attention. And of course, when then we walk by and we're just trying to meet somebody or just, walking down an aisle and we see him in those spaces, it's just fun to watch him do that job too, and to see his passion while interviewing and see it from the other side when we're not interviewing somebody.
I love it. It makes me smile because he's such a funny guy, but he's so smart at what he does. And
absolutely. Yeah.
The people there that know him just love him. And he immediately makes people feel calm. I don't know about you when you do your podcast and when I do mine, but that's the number one thing is just keep everybody calm. And he has a way of doing that for some of these vendors that are so nervous, because they're already nervous about being with you at Wessa, and now there's a podcast guy there. And so let's talk about some of the new products. There's always new products there. And how does somebody, maybe a buyer, go out and find all the new products? Because it's such a big area.
Yes, so we do print a directory. So in that directory, you'll find a list of exhibitors. But also, of course, if you don't know who you're going to meet with, that might be a little bit harder to navigate. So we also print a list of product lines, and sometimes it's easier just to go through that line to find, just maybe some companies that you haven't met with before, or just maybe have before and that are some of your customer favorites. But then we also have an app, and on that app, it's a little bit easier to navigate the floor plans because, of course, if it's 235,000 square feet, those floor plans are going to be a little bit harder to navigate. So on the app, you can actually type in a brand or type in a person, type in a product line, and then it will tell you where they are. And then you can go to the floor plans and just zoom in and make it a little bit easier to find people, because it's definitely some people have said that it's hard to navigate, but that is how we're trying to help them as much as possible. And that director's actually before they even arrive, yes. And of course, the app also tells you about all of the events, all the things that you can't miss. But usually that is how most retailers get started. They use the directory and then the app, and they try to figure out who they want to meet with. And then leading up to the shows, of course, we also have interviews on the podcast, but also feature some products on social media. We have some newsletters that we send out just so people know who they can expect to see and what time there's certain events going on, just for them to maybe earmark that. And yeah, that is usually how the retailers go about. And then when they show up, if they have pre-registered, they don't have to go through the line and actually just get their badges mailed to them. So that's a neat way for them just to arrive and then walk in and just have fun during those 4 days.
I love it. I have the app and it works so great. And it sure made it easy. And it was fun being there because we made a post when we were walking in on our social media on Cowboy Entrepreneur. And immediately people were like, hey, come to our booth and put the booth number. And it was so much fun just doing it that way. It's so organic. And there were so many new people we got to meet, and just so much fun.
It's really fun to see how the offline world connects with the online world, because a lot of the buyers actually attend and usually do the same thing. When you walk in, it's a lot that you at first see. And of course, it's a great first impression that the Dallas Market Center puts on for us. But then, when they do post that, they also post some of the meetings that they had with the brands, or they showcase some of the items, and people actually do ask questions to their actual community asking, would you buy this? Would you rather have this color? Would you rather have this type of toe in for the boots? All kinds of different questions. So they really try to bring in the end consumer to help them when they do shop in person in the offline world at the WESA trade show. So it's kind of fun to see those two worlds come together.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think there's a lot of worlds come together at WESA. That's what makes it fun for sure. Yeah.
Yes.
So I can't believe we're already closing out on the show. It's going so fast. So what can you tell us? What's coming up maybe next year if you're planning it that's okay to tell everybody, the excitement part?
Yeah, so we are going to increase our space on the 10th floor. We have now increased it by so much that we are actually reaching the atrium. So we are adding more spaces up front, which also means we can add more signage to that area, and that really allows more visibility. So that's going to be really exciting to see. But of course, we're also working on some fun projects and partnerships. We have an artist that's also an actor and works on Yellowstone, and he's going to be at the show in August doing a live painting. We're going to then auction off something in January after that. So it's going to be just lots of fun events and new brands to see and lots of new people to meet.
Well, I love it. Well, Sophia, thank you so much for being on the Cowboy Entrepreneur Show. And it's still hard to believe 4 people do that, but I appreciate everything about WESA and what they do for the industry and just keep it moving in the right direction. And we appreciate you. And thanks for your time today.
Well, we appreciate you. Thank you so much for having me on. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. And thank you for watching the Cowboy Entrepreneur Show. And if you're listening to us on NBC, we appreciate you. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Thank you to all the great sponsors of the Cowboy Entrepreneur Show. If you or your business is interested in being a sponsor of the Cowboy Entrepreneur Show, please call our office at 830-992-1786 or visit our website, cowboyentrepreneur.com.
Miss your favorite show? Download the podcast at kcaaradio.com.
NBC News Radio, I'm Brian Shook. A witness in the former President Trump